This week's Torah portion is called Vayeilech. Obviously, we're now in the space between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We spent 2 days of Rosh Hashanah understanding that God is one, the oneness of everything is God. And we're recognizing that on Rosh Hashanah. We're understanding that God is the ruler, God is the sustainer, God is the creator, God is the omniscient, omnipotent, etc., etc. We really don't even have a glimpse of what God is, but on some level we go into that space and we declare God as the King of the universe. We blow the shofar, we open up our hearts, we become these little people in this huge undertaking of what the world is. We're part of that oneness. We're part of God. We're part of a much bigger picture than our own lives. But we're very important and we're very loved by God. And that's something we do on Rosh Hashanah. Now we have 10 days that take us from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur is a day where we minimize our physicality. We try to access our spirituality. We try to be like angels. We almost rehearse our death. We stand in white, and we take off our shoes, and we don't eat, and we don't drink, and we don't bathe, and we don't put creams on. And we do all these things to focus on our spirituality, to focus on the soul that is who we are. And we try to line that up with the divineness, with the oneness of the universe. We come to shul, we stay home, whatever we do on that day, and we recognize that we are part of that, and we come close to God. We want to come close to God. We want to be in that flow. And on Yom Kippur, we have that capacity to cleave ourselves to God, to remove the blocks that block us, to try to minimize the physicality of who we are, and to access our souls, and to be quote unquote naked before God, in the sense that our souls are there in the flow of the divine, in the presence of the divine. We do that on Yom Kippur, and it's a whole day. What a gift of a day it is to go back to who we are, existentially who we are, and to go back even before we did all the things that we did that we knew we were going to mess up, because we are human and we will mess up. We will all mess up. We will all not be perfect beings, because we were not created to be perfect. We were perfectly created to be imperfect and to work on ourselves, to grow, to change, to be something new. And on Yom Kippur, there's these 10 days, we're reclaiming who we are. We're going back to the beginning and starting all over again. What a gift. And there is a Jewish teaching that we can change, that we can be different, that we can have faith in ourselves and hope in a different reality than the one that we want to shed. Many things we do right, many things we do well, but some things we need to work on. We all need to work on. And this is a time that we are focused on that change, and it's available to us. It's not far away, as it says in last week's Torah portion. So this week's Torah portion is Vayeilech. Moses is the last day of his life, and he's going amongst the people. He's telling them what they need to know to go into the land of Israel, where they won't have a Moses who's going to be the intermediary between God and the people. There won't be a Moses to deliver the word of God. He's written down the Torah. It's on a scroll. It's going to go into the ark. He's going to, with the tablets, it's going to go into the ark of the covenant. And he tells the people that every 7 years, when you're in the land, after the holiday of Sukkot, you're going to come, all the people, the men, the women, the children, everybody is going to come, and the king is going to read the Torah to everybody. There's even someone above the king. God is the rule of the universe. There's no human king that is the top of the totem pole. God's above that. So recognize that. So you're going to take the king, and the king's going to read the Torah to all the people, and the people are going to reaffirm their covenant, reaffirm the relationship that they have with God. We don't really have anything like that today. A national gathering of all the people coming together saying, I'm in. I'm recommitting myself to a relationship with God. I want that relationship with God. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had that today, where we could all come together, the men, the women, the children, the converts, everybody come together and say, I'm in, I'm reaffirming that covenant. Wouldn't that be amazing? We don't have that today. Maybe we should. And in that connection, in that reaffirmation, as we turn towards God, there's a reciprocity, we understand, in our relationship to God. God's there, but we need to turn. There's a Hasidic teacher that says, where is God? wherever you let him in, when we open ourselves up, as we will on Yom Kippur, as we are doing now, which is harder for us at other times of the year, but this is a carved out time and space for us to access that energy that's here, to access the closeness of God that's here, especially on Yom Kippur. And here we are, we're saying, I want in. I'm turning my face towards you, God, and I know that you're there, and I know you love me, and I know that you want the best for me, and I know that everything that's going to happen in this coming year is going to be for my benefit, to help me be the best person I can be. And what the people are going to listen to the Torah, they're going to listen to this covenant, they're going to reaffirm their relationship to God and say, yes, I'm in. And what an amazing thing, as the people are going into the land of Israel, where they'll lose the spiritual high of being in the desert, where the food was manna from heaven, where the water was coming from a rock, where they were led by the divine clouds and the divine fire. They're going to go into a more physical existence where they have to plant and grow and reap, and they'll have to see God in a different way that's not so revealed as it was in the desert. And so too, we have to see God in our everyday lives. And Moses says over and over and over again to the people, do not fear the physical world. Don't fear the nations that you have to go in and conquer to take the land. Don't fear anything other than have an awe, and the Hebrew word is yira, and a fear, quote unquote, of God, of the divine. That's the awesomeness that we have to focus on, that everything else is all for the good. At some point we'll see that with clarity, that the things that we perceive as being suffering and hard and difficult all had a bigger purpose that we cannot understand while we're in this world. And that's a level of faith that we have, that God is good and God only does good, and the things that we perceive as difficult and cruel and harsh and suffering and so on are all part of a divine plan that in the end is all good, but we don't see that. And so when Moses is speaking to the people, he's saying to them, don't fear, don't fear, don't fear. What's the phrase he says? He says, be strong and take courage. That's a term that is repeated in this week's Torah portion. Be strong and take courage, and don't fear. Don't be fearful, because in the end it's all good and God's in control. You're not in control. As much as you work in the office, as much as you go see a million doctors, as much as you do all the different things that we do, and at the end of the day, the outcome is not up to us. And if we can recognize that, and we can lean into that, using the modern parlance, if we can lean into that, we can live with a lot more peace of mind, understanding that whatever is the way it's supposed to be. And that's a hard lesson, but it's a good lesson as we approach Yom Kippur. Now this Shabbat is called Shabbos Tshuva. It's the Shabbos where we recognize the capacity to go back to our beginnings, to start all over again, to open ourselves up to the divine energy in the world and say, I want to be part of that. And that's the covenant that the Jewish people reaffirmed with God every 7 years during this procedure called Hakel, where the king would read the Torah to the people, all the people, everybody gathered, and everybody was going to be inspired. Even the children would be inspired, even the little children. Like sometimes we say, oh, little children, what do they know? They're so little, they don't know. But you have no idea, or maybe we really have no idea what influences are powerful in our development as we grow up, as we see the people coming together, as we're part of something bigger than ourselves, as we observe other people in their journey through life. We're inspired by each other. And there's something here about who you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with people that you want to learn from. The children, we take the children with us. We take the children with us to listen to the Torah, to the king reading the Torah, because we want them to be influenced by that. We want to be influenced by that. So children are going to learn what they see, and what they see their parents doing, what they see their elders doing, what they see the people around them doing. They're going to be influenced by that, and it's in their hard drive, and they're going to come back to it, and it's going to be solid, and it's going to be in their quote unquote DNA. And that's what we're trying to do for ourselves. We're trying to change ourselves. How do we change ourselves? By surrounding ourselves with people that we want to be like, by working on ourselves, by opening ourselves up, by learning Torah, by listening to the Torah, by reaffirming our relationship to the divine, which is exactly what we do on Yom Kippur. So as we approach Yom Kippur, which is this day of, it's a gift day where we get to minimize our physicality, like shed all that. Don't worry about anything else right now on this day of Yom Kippur. Don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't worry about what you're going to drink. Don't worry about anything. All you're going to be worried about is your relationship to God, and choose in. This is a holiday of choosing in. This is a holiday of working on ourselves to open ourselves up to that divine light and say, I want that, and I'm going to start all over again. And please God, this will be a year where we'll all grow, we'll all be inspired, we'll all surround ourselves with people that we want to be like. We'll be able to shine our bright light out into this dark world. We'll make it better. We'll elevate everybody. Everybody's boat will rise. And please God, we'll achieve everything we want to achieve this year.